Welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive?
Always ready.
Awesome. Today, we're looking at Bangladesh. Things are, well, they're pretty tense there right now.
Yeah, definitely a lot going on.
It all revolves around this Operation Devil Hunt, right? A huge crackdown, and it's all happening under this really unique interim government.
You're right, very unique situation. A country in transition, there's unrest, and this new government's trying to establish control.
Exactly. And we're talking over 1,300 arrests already. It all started after some pretty serious stuff went down, right?
Mm.
Attacks on student activists, vandalism, buildings linked to the ousted prime minister, Sheikh Hasina, targeted. They even attacked a museum dedicated to her father. Can you believe that?
Hmm.
Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, like the father of Bangladesh.
Wow, yeah, attacking a place like that, it really shows you how deep this animosity runs. I mean, towards Hasina and her whole legacy.
No kidding. So to understand this whole thing, we need to rewind a bit, right? 6 months ago, Hasina flees Bangladesh. Protests, accusations of a fascist regime, the whole 9 yards. And this is where Muhammad Yunus enters the picture.
Exactly.
Yunus, the Nobel Peace Prize winner, not exactly who you'd picture leading a crackdown, right?
Uh-huh, yeah, not the usual image.
So how did someone known for, social justice, microfinance, all that, end up in charge of this interim government?
It is an interesting turn of events. So after Hasina leaves, Bangladesh needs like a transitional government, right, to lead them towards new elections. Yunus, with his global reputation, his integrity, I mean, he seemed like the perfect choice to bring some stability to the nation. And of course, he's incredibly respected for that microfinance work, helping people out of poverty, the whole thing.
Yeah, of course. But now instead of those microloans, he's heading up this Operation Devil Hunt. What is this operation all about? Like really?
Right. So the interim government, they launched this thing to deal with all that unrest, the violence that erupted before Hasina left. They're saying the goal is to bring those responsible to justice, ensure public safety. But they are using some pretty strong language, calling the people they're targeting devils, referring to Hasina's leadership as a fallen autocratic regime. Strong words.
Devils. Wow. That's some intense rhetoric. It's got to be causing some friction, right? Not everyone in Bangladesh is happy about this.
You're absolutely right. It's a very polarizing situation. Hasina's supporters, they probably see this as trying to silence opposition,
Yeah.
trying to consolidate power even. Some might even believe that the interim government maybe they instigated the violence as an excuse to crack down on her supporters.
Whoa. Okay, so it's like walking a tightrope here. So who exactly are they going after in this devil hunt?
Well, most of those arrested so far have been linked to Hasina's party, the Awami League.
Interesting.
And that's where it gets, a little murky. The government's claiming it's about keeping the peace, maintaining order, all that. But targeting one specific party, it does raise questions, doesn't it, about whether there are political motives behind this whole operation.
Right. Yeah. It's like they're trying to, restore order, but it could also be seen as persecuting a specific political group. Tricky situation.
Exactly, a very delicate balance. It'll be interesting to see how this all plays out, that's for sure.
It's a crucial moment for Bangladesh, wouldn't you say? I mean, this Operation Devil Hunt, it could bring stability or maybe, ignite even more unrest. We'll have to see.
Yeah, you make a really good point. There might be some calm at first, but then what? Down the line, could this actually make things even more unstable?
It's a big concern for sure. I mean, what if people see this as just like a political purge? It could really divide Bangladeshi society even more, lead to even more unrest down the road. It's true. And we can't forget about, the average people caught in the middle of all this.
Absolutely.
It's easy to get focused on the politics, but it's the everyday people who feel the effects.
Yeah.
Right. What do you think their perspective is on all of this?
I'd say it's probably a mix, a mix of anxiety and hope. I mean, nobody wants to live with constant violence and unrest. So there's probably a lot of people hoping this operation will bring some stability. But at the same time, I bet they're worried about what it means for the future of their country, right?
Right. It's them who have to live with the consequences, even after the headlines fade away.
Exactly.
You mentioned earlier the international community. Their response is going to be important, right? What role do you see them playing in all this?
Oh, they could have a big impact, for sure. The way they react to Operation Double Hunt, whether it's, condemnation or support, or even just like cautious observation, it's going to send a strong signal to the interim government.
Yeah.
Could even influence their actions.
Do you think there's any chance they could, I don't know, pressure Eunice to maybe change course, or at least take a more conciliatory approach?
It's possible. I mean, we've seen it before, right? International pressure can sometimes push governments toward more democratic practices. But we got to remember there could be backlash, too. What if it looks like outside forces are, interfering in Bangladesh's business? It could have the opposite effect. Make those in power even more determined to do things their way.
Yeah, that's true. It's a tough line to walk. So it seems like the success of this new Bangladesh that Eunice is talking about, well, it depends on a lot of things going right.
Oh, absolutely. This isn't just about stopping the unrest we're seeing now. Building a new Bangladesh, that means addressing the root causes, tackling things like corruption, making sure elections are free and fair, promoting dialogue and reconciliation between those different political factions. Big stuff.
Reconciliation, that's key, right? Because it seems like there's this deep division within Bangladesh. It goes way back, even to Sheikh Mujibur Rahman's legacy. To really get this current situation, I think we need to look closer at his legacy, what his rule meant for Bangladesh.
I think you're right. You can't understand the present without the past. And Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, as the founding father, he's essential to understanding the country. His leadership during that liberation war against Pakistan back in '71, I mean, that cemented him as a national hero. But his time in power wasn't without its problems. When he decided to create a one-party socialist state, there were a lot of people who saw that as authoritarian. It sparked opposition from those who wanted, a more pluralistic democracy.
So even though he's considered the father of the nation, his rule wasn't exactly uncontroversial.
Not at all. And that's why the vandalism of his museum is so symbolic. It's not just an attack on a building, it's an attack on the core of Bangladesh's identity, a real reminder of how divided the country still is.
And it seems like those divisions have only gotten worse under Hasina. Her supporters see her as this champion of progress. But her critics, they accuse her of corruption, of being authoritarian. How do these competing views play into what's happening now?
Well, it creates a very polarized atmosphere, an environment where it's incredibly difficult to have like real dialogue and find compromise, makes building this new Bangladesh that much harder. A Bangladesh that's both stable and democratic. To move forward, they need to really try to understand everyone's grievances, find some common ground.
Which brings us back to Yunus and his vision for a new Bangladesh.
Yeah.
But can he really be this unifying figure? I mean, some people are already saying he's biased against Hasina's party.
Yeah, that's a valid concern. If Yunus wants to succeed, he needs to be seen as neutral, someone who's committed to upholding the rule of law, to making sure everyone has a fair chance. That means transparency, accountability for any, human rights violations that happened during Operation Devil Hunt, and a clear plan for how they're going to transition back to a democratically elected government. A lot to juggle.
It makes you wonder, all of this Operation Devil Hunt, I mean, could it be, I don't know, undermining the very stability it's supposed to achieve?
Yeah.
Could this crackdown actually create more devils, so to speak,
Right.
by alienating and radicalizing those who feel like they're being targeted?
That's a very real possibility, yeah. Using force, even if it's in the name of, restoring order, it can sometimes make things worse. If this operation is seen as heavy-handed and politically motivated, it could backfire, lead to more violence and repression.
That would be awful,
Yeah.
especially for a country that's already been through so much.
Yeah.
Seems like they're walking a tightrope here. Balancing security and individual rights, not easy.
No, it's not. It's a complex situation with no simple solutions. Bangladesh has to find a path to peace and stability, but they can't do it by sacrificing, democratic principles.
Right. We've talked about Operation Devil Hunt, about Bangladesh's political history, about the challenges of building this new Bangladesh. But what about the people in the middle of all this? The people who just want to live a peaceful life. What does the future hold for them?
That's the big question, isn't it? In the end, whether Operation Devil Hunt succeeds or fails, it'll be judged by how it affects ordinary Bangladeshis, their lives, their futures.
It really does come down to that, doesn't it? The
Yeah.
human cost. Will this operation, will it make people feel safer? Or is it just going to create more division and distrust?
I think that remains to be seen. But Bangladesh has a tough road ahead, that's for sure. Political tensions, social unrest, economic issues. It's a lot to deal with all at once.
It's like They're still trying to come to terms with their past too, right? Sheikh Mujibur Rahman's legacy, the controversies around Hasina, it's a recipe for instability, you could say. It makes you think, what does progress even look like for Bangladesh? I mean, can you really achieve peace through a crackdown like this, or do they need to address the underlying causes of the unrest, the root of the problem?
That's a really deep question, and I imagine it's one that a lot of Bangladeshis are asking themselves right now. There's no easy answer, but one thing is clear. If Bangladesh wants a future that's sustainable, it has to be built on democratic principles, on respect for human rights, and a real effort to heal those divisions that are tearing the country apart.
That's a tall order, no question.
Yeah.
But I think what's happening in Bangladesh, it reminds us that democracy is fragile everywhere. We have to be vigilant. We have to be engaged to protect it. It's not just Bangladesh. It's everywhere. We all have
hmm
to do our part to make sure people's voices are heard and that their rights are respected.
I couldn't agree more. And that's where, informed engagement is so important. We need to stay informed about what's going on in the world to understand these situations and really engage in thoughtful discussions about the challenges we're all facing.
We can't just ignore what's happening in other parts of the world, right?
Yeah.
It's all connected.
Yeah.
The choices one country makes, they can have a ripple effect everywhere.
That's right. And sometimes just listening to different perspectives, trying to understand where people are coming from, that can make a real difference.
I think that's a great point to end on, actually. We've covered a lot of ground today. The impact of this Operation Devil Hunts, the history of Bangladesh, the political landscape. It's complicated, and there are no easy answers. But I hope this discussion has shed some light on the challenges and the possibilities for Bangladesh. It's a country at a crossroads.
It's been a pleasure talking about this with you. And to everyone listening, we encourage you to keep learning about this situation, to form your own opinions.
And if you found this deep dive interesting, please like and subscribe for more. We'll be back soon with another deep dive into a different part of the world. Until then, stay curious and keep learning.